the happy times we had.
We're very much alike.
Remember all the happy times we had.
Greetings. I'll be with you momentarily. I'm just doing some last minute setup stuff. And then we can start carrying on where we left off last night. And if you weren't here last night, you can watch the VOD, all 5 hours of it. It's like okay. Turn the music right down. Last night it was too loud. Another beautiful day in the jungle. Hello everyone, good afternoon. So, last night we left off. I just edited this up quickly and sent it to the client just to show that I'm working on getting this stuff done. And we were ranking images. Up to here. Oh, we're further on than that. We got a lot further on than I'd imagined. We really did. The good thing about this part of the process is that it's really quick. So that's where we're up to. So what we're doing is, for those of you who are not familiar with Lightroom and you want to do bulk photo editing, this is what my recommendation would be that you use. That's not a very good photo, but because it's the outfit the bride was wearing, I'm not sure whether to include it or not. I'll leave it out for now. Okay, so we were up to the second bridal party. A lot of interesting shots here for the ranking. And this one is questionable. Not sure whether we can make a good photo of that. I'll go back to library. It can probably do something with that, so I will. I'll 4-star that because I know it's right. It's bride's daughters. Doggy. Yeah, it's not a great dog photo, but we will have it included. It's a 3-star. That's a 4-star. It was a lady who did not like me pointing the camera at. You get that a lot with bridal parties. I think that's good. The ring lights and just the general mess in the room. It tells the story of the day. Then I'm gonna 4-star that because it was. I'm gonna 3-star that. I actually like makeup shots like that, so I'm gonna 5-star that. That I think I can do something with, so I'm gonna leave that as a 5-star. That's a thing shot. I'm actually going to unflag that one and remove it. So I just need to make sure that I'm filtered by flagged. Which I wasn't. I like that. I really like that shot. I think I can do a lot with that. I like this double reflection in the mirror. It needs straightening up there and some tweaking doing a light. But I think I actually might 5-star that because I could make that into something good. That's a 3. I'm gonna 4-star that again. I like mirror shots. See if you look at any of my work. It's a 3-star. I think it tells the story. So in years to come, the couple will look back and go, "Well, this is our house. We moved in. We had curtain poles everywhere." And it tells the story of the chaos. Like that. Nice bright shot that I can work with. As long as this isn't blown. You can test that. If you go into the develop mode and you press Alt and just click on the exposure. Right, so you can see that's blown. That means it's unlikely you're going to recover the detail. So you slide the exposure down until that just goes, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't use that image. Hey, programmer, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. How's life today? Yeah, that's blown. That's totally blown. I'm not sure whether to include that or not. I don't have many shots of this lady. What are you up to today, Mr. Programmer, sir? I'll leave it in for now, but I'm going to 3-star it because I don't like the fact that that's blown. I coded a flying tank and it won't stop flying, and I don't know why it's flying. It's horrible. Flying tank? Is that in it's not Dual Universe, is it? Might be blurred. See if I can work with that. Yeah, I can make that into something. See, you just look at a shot which is blown. You can actually make something with it. Let's get back into library mode. I'm gonna 3-star that. 3-star that. 3-star that. I'm gonna give that a 4. And that a 4. That a 5. Because the eyes, you capture the eyes in that shot. So the eyes looking up, you've got the light going into them. So I can zoom in and edit and get the eyes looking nice and sharp. So that's a 5. It tells the story. Going back to what we were saying last night, is it doesn't have to be a wonderful photograph. 5-star it because it tells a story of what were we drinking on the morning. If you don't have any record of it, look back and go, what were we drinking? I wanted to make a game where you control a tank, but the controls are complicated and wacky to make it fun. There's no goddamn tank controller over the whole internet. Wow. Are you doing that in Unreal Engine? It's better. Listening to our voice through the headphones. Most of these are flowers. I know one of the brides was quite concerned about capturing these flowers, so... Infinite upwards force. Awesome. You can reset though, can't you? Unity. Okay. UE5's out now, you know. I think it's free as well. I'm gonna 4-star that. I'm gonna 5-star that. I'm gonna 5-star that. It's a 3. That's quite good because of the catch light. I'm gonna give that a 5. This one I'm just gonna see if I can pull a couple of stops out, and no, that's no good. Can't do anything with that, I don't think. Just stick it in develop module and see. Push the highlights down and the whites down. The trick is to, again, press Alt, click on there. I think we've lost a lot of the detail because it's daft. I had to shoot at ISO 2500 and was going in and out of dark areas to light areas and having to flick. So when I'm doing things quickly, I do it with a shutter. I'm not sure about this because I want it to work, but UE5 is released, but I like Unity more. A, because it's not C, because it's C#, not C++, and B, because it's more complicated, so great for sports type. Like indie games, I love indie games. Interest out of it, and then dehaze it a bit. Maybe that'll work. No, you can see that where the areas are blown on the face, it's just not working. That's unfortunately not recoverable. Taking that one out. Same will go for that one, unfortunately. That's better. I can recover this one. That's even better again. I'm going to give these 5s because I think I like the ring light. I can use the ring light for a nice frame. Saves doing a vignette like that. The hair shot again. It's a 5. It's a 4. I like makeup shots. I love telling the story of the chaos of the day. The bed was covered in stuff. There was toast on a plate at one point. That's a 3. I think that's a 5. I'd love to do this in sepia. This is an old house that the couple had moved into, and 3 weeks before the wedding, and they were just doing it up. A really big house in Manchester, so I think this tells a good story. Memories are what we need to focus on. That's a 3. Now that's a 5 because it's the bride's hair, so these all get 5s. That's a 5 because it's a memory. It's not a great shot, if I'm honest. I'll give it a 5 because these are flowers that I know that the bride wanted. She particularly said, make sure you get these shots in. I'm actually going to downgrade that to a 4. That's a 5. There's nice light in that I can work with. 5 again. I think this window, this just juxtaposition and this old, I can do something maybe sepia or black and white on this. Do that in the edit because I want to get through these. That's a 5 as well. That's a 5 because it's memory. That's a 5. That's a 3 because it's just opening the box. I think that's a 5 because that's the giving of the gift. That's a 5. That's 3. 5. Pretzel Rocks is not doing me any favours today, is it? I think that's a 5. That has to be. 10. Right. These are all 5s. These are important mementos of the day, so it's a 3. It's a nice photo. I can do a lot with it. I love this table. All the makeup and things on. Tells the story in this. Love that desk. So that's... Excuse me. So let's have a look. Give that a 4. That's essentially the same shot, but done in portrait. I think I prefer this one to that one, so I'm actually going to unflag that and take that out in entirety. That's a 5. That's a 5. That's a 5. That's a 5. Don't need 2 of those. Why have I got 2 of those flagged? Light's slightly better on that second one, so take that out. Give it 5. That's a nothing photo, really. Can't really see what's going on. Gesundheit. Thank you, sir. So, are you going to release this game on Steam? Can we all play it? The Infinite Upwards Tank. You should speak to 3D Addict, actually, who was here last night. He designs games as well. I don't know whether he uses Unity or not, but might be worth having a chat with him. Maybe you could do a collaboration. It's possible. I like that. That's a 5 for me because it's the bustle. That I'm going to leave in at 3. I don't tend to finish the projects I start. That sounds like me. That sounds very like me. I'm going to 3-star that. Now that I really like. I know it's one of the makeup artists, but I can make that into a good shot, so I'll give that a 5. I brought the parcels in. That's a 5. That's a great shot. Bring a linear gradient across here. Get the focus on the face and the makeup. This bit radial. Do a sharpen in there, maybe. Take the texture down. Kind to the skin. Give these a 4. Bride's hair. That's a 5. I think I can work with that. Let's just quickly jump into develop. That's very blown. There's still detail. You're looking for like, if I just pull that right down, you can see this is what it does. Where the image is blown and the camera hasn't been able to capture any color information, it just blanks completely. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad photo. Though sometimes you would take a photograph and you would balance the light for the face of somebody with sun in the background, and you'll get just the sky blown, but it might be a wonderful shot of the face. So. Going to play with this a little bit. I just want to see if I can turn it into something. If I can do this. Pull the shadows down rather than the texture down, the clarity down. Dehaze it a bit, bring some more darkness in. It's gone kind of blue. I'm going to do. But now I will keep working until I'm bored or frustrated. Well, your company is appreciated anyway. I put the contrast up there. Now we have lost detail in the hair, but that's okay because this picture is about this face in the mirror. Now the reason I wanted to use dehaze is because if I take off that filter and I dehaze the image, what it will do is it will clean up the mirror a little bit. It's a bit heavy. It's way too heavy. Yeah, I can't do it because this area is blown, so... I found the reason for the infinite force, but I don't quite know how to fix it. Time to make tea. Oh, make me one. Can I have one? I don't think dehaze is the way to go on it. It's gonna... so I had a shot I did once with I took a photograph of somebody through it was a camper van window on the wedding day, and they were sat behind, and you couldn't see the face because of the reflection. Excuse me. The reflection of the sky, and I used dehaze, and I literally took the reflection right out of the equation. This one is, I'm just going to try a radial gradient. I do this a lot. I'm going to need to put that in there because this is blown. I'm going to need to stretch this out. More like that. Actually make it more like that, thinking about it. Just bring it in so we've got that area. So this blown area you don't really want to touch too much. And if you just invert it, alright? And then just pull the exposure down. So you kind of drawing the viewer's eye into here. And I might also be tempted to crop this a bit. It's not constrained. Oh, forgive me. Can I make that work? Maybe. You don't want the face and the mirror to go too far over to the right in the crop. You want to try and keep it as close to this intersection as possible. Let's try... I'm going to try do this as a portrait. Oh, that's even worse. Doesn't work at all. Okay. I'll leave it for now. I'm not actually... I shouldn't be getting into the edit process now, but I can use spot removal. Take some of these blemishes off the mirror. There's quite a few there, so... I need to take texture down. I actually need to take the exposure down a bit more, I think. It's quite bright. Leave that for now. Finish the sift. And I think I can do something with that. That's nice. I like that shot. I don't have many of that lady. That's not so good. I get that a 3. That's maybe a 4. That's the money shot, which is the 5. And I love this clutter in the background, so I want to try and keep that if I can. Again, telling the story of the day. This is good again because you've got these people in the background milling around and the bride doing a makeup. I'm going to give that a 5 actually. That's a 5. That's a 5. No, that's a 5. That is a black and white begging to be done. So you need to pull the exposure down on this one. I think with the light coming in from the window and it's dark over here, so you pull the shadows up a bit and then pull the black point down, give it a bit more contrast. The highlights, because you've got highlights here which are bright from the sun, so you pull some of those down if you can. But again, you don't want to go too far because you get that weird unfeathered look. Now dehaze will bring that more contrast in. It's going to have a vignette. I haven't actually done the profile correction and the chromatic aberration, so that makes a big difference again. It flattens the picture a bit and accounts for the lens that I used on the day. The Lightroom's really good because it auto detects what I've been using from the metadata, which is good. That just makes the job easier for photographers. Now we've done that, I think I need to bring the black point back up a bit. I need to bring the shadows down a bit. Shadows do sort of the greys, the mid-tone blacks. Need tilting a bit. Doesn't... No, it's alright. Now you could try... There's some presets over here. And... So in the black and white... I don't often play with these, but it's just to show you that there's some presets that come. You've got sepia, black and white sepia, so you could turn that into a sepia image if you wanted. Lots of it's faux, sort of old. Like you do a high contrast one, you can see that's way more contrast than I've put on it. I don't like high contrast sepia so much. I think I'm going to stick with my own interpretation of the image, and we'll tidy that up. But it's, for me, that is that's a black and white. I mean, you go back to colour, you can see. I just don't think it works well, that sort of shot. And I probably wouldn't vignette it because it's going to look a bit fake with the light from the window. Maybe a little. It's missing something. I can't quite put my finger on it. A bit of sharpening maybe, and a sharpen mask. Let's have a look. We want this on a... Right, you want it on a 1:1. So when you're editing noise out, and by noise I mean this colour noise here, when you're editing that out, it's always better to have it on a 1:1. Now that's actually not colour noise, it's luminance, so let's use this instead. You can see how it smooths it out a bit, but what you do is you lose a bit of definition. You push the sharpening up and then you mask it. So you take out where it's sharpening. So you can say, right, these are the lines I want you to sharpen, just these, and it doesn't sharpen where there's noise. There is noise. It's only ISO 800, so shouldn't need that much noise reduction, really. At 800, it should be. It's okay. Yeah, that works. That works really well, actually. You can get obsessed with zooming in and looking at details and getting this noise. That's possibly over sharpening. I just pull that down. Noise, I don't know why. I think it's because I'm working on a preview, but it's introducing noise where it probably shouldn't. It normally wouldn't. And you could go to town on this. You could do an S-curve. You could make it a really faux vintage. Put like a wash, faded wash on it. Push the further into the blacks and whites like that. Make it sort of really high contrast. I tend to not mess with the S-curve unless I do this tail lift here. And I try and keep that subtle. Just give it a little bit of faded effect. Actually works quite well. Again, you might want to consider a linear gradient here just to lead in. Good. Drop the exposure. You're going to invert that. No, you're not. I'm stupid. I'm not going to invert it. That's radiant. You could just maybe drop the highlights and the shadows a bit over that side, and it gives. What you're doing by doing this is you're emphasizing the light from the window more, so you make this side of the room look dark, which it was on the day. You just kind of overemphasize it. Why isn't that working? There. That's applied like a darken to that bit. These are them. You could also, if you wanted to really be really work on this, there's an interaction between these people getting ready, so you could use a radial gradient and just drag it out like that, spin it around and create just probably it. You could do this, invert it again, and just very subtly pull down some of the tones in the room, the light. Stretch that out a bit wider and drop it to keep the head in there. You could do that. Maybe you don't want to drop the whites down, but you do want to drop the shadows a bit. So see what that looks like. I think that looks pretty good. You do before and after. That's the before, which actually looks quite good. You got a vintage film style going on there. Probably overemphasized. I think I probably need to take this one out. I think it works fine without that. And just pull that back a bit as well, because yeah. Yeah, try that. You don't need to do any detail sharpening on here because there's nothing. I mean, you might consider the eyes there, but that does look blurred, but it's not. It's just because we're working on a preview of the image. So the full resolution is sharp. This is just a preview. We're working on a smart preview because it puts less strain on the computer, because the computer's currently holding 2,200 6K raw files at 35 megapop in the in its memory. Let's be generous and say it's. I'll do it in gigabytes. A lot of memory. It's holding. Exactly. Holding it. So between the RAM and the page file temporary memory, it's holding 72 gig. That's what the entirety of the wedding photos are, 72 gigabytes. It's not uncommon. As Tom Jones would say, it's not unusual. I think that works. Like it needs more light in it now. Pull the shadows up a bit. Push the highlights a bit as well. There we go. That's better. Right, that works. I'll stop playing. Back to pre-selecting. These are all 5s because these are brilliant shots through with the makeup. I know she was very proud of how she'd been done. That is so the story behind this image, whilst it just looks like somebody looking at their phone with a piece of paper in their hand, this young woman did a reading at the wedding service. So tying the story together, another part of the wedding photographer's job is to remember what's happened during the day, and when you come back to the edit is to look at the pictures and say, I know why this young woman was looking at her phone and had this piece of paper in her hand, because she was preparing for her reading during the service. So that's a 5-star, because not because it's a great shot, we can turn it into a great shot, we can do a lot with it, but it's a great shot because it's part of the day. There's a reason she's looking like that. That's a 3. This is trinket photography, as I call it. That's nice. I like that. That's going to be hard to edit. I'm going to probably leave the purple light in. It's a 3. It's a 3. These are sort of trinket shots, placement settings. It's some detailed shots in a minute, which will get that'll get a 4. Not the best photo. I let myself down there because I didn't get the base. I'll give that a 3. The videographer's in that shot, so it's a 3. I'd consider taking it out, but now that I can lift, I think, and do a lot with, because I underexposed that deliberately. But I just need to try and pull the noise out. You see I've got all this colour here. There particularly. Let's go into the develop mode. Get it 100%. Yeah, that's a lot of noise. I've lifted it too high. Can I push the shadows? I think this is unrecoverable. Yeah, look at the noise in that. And I'm only shooting ISO 400, but it's because I underexposed it. I shot it at 1/800th of a second. So it's a dark image. So I don't actually think there's any meaningful way I can I take the lumen. Let's do the color. do this for... That's pretty bad. That's... I mean, I have done this with some weddings. Or I've been forced to shoot in very low light. I didn't trust the camera's ISO. Yeah, it's... See, you can see where it's got this kind of oil painting effect to it now. That's the actual... that's the noise reduction being too high, so I could pull that back a little bit, maybe. Pull the colour back a little bit. I mean, as an image... If you want to demonstrate the power of modern technology in terms of the camera ISO settings, that's pretty bad. The background. You know, you do before and after. There's the before. There's the after. I'm not sure I'm going to keep that in for now. I'll give it a 3. I like that. I'm going to give that a 4. I like that particularly. I'm going to give that a 4 as well. That's a 3. Post photos just do nothing for me. That's a 3. It's a place setting. That's a 5 because that had significant meaning. We'll do that as a 4. I think I could make something of that. Again, a 3. Just people looking down the lens in a pose. It's a record of who was there. It's quite a nice photo actually. I'll give that a 4. Right, that's a 5 because that's one of the brides arriving. Make all these 5. Choose such a character. Brilliant. I love that. I love that shot. That's a 5. And I love those shots as well, so that gets a 5. But you can see everywhere was bathed in this pink light. I went to a wedding once where I did a video of the wedding, and they brought in pink lighting like that, but they'd actually brought it in and they'd used an external power source to do it. And the power source was pushing out 60 hertz. 60 watts, is it? 60 hertz, 60 watts. So it was flickering, the frequency was 60, and everything in the UK is 50, the power supply. 50 hertz, so... I'll give that a 5. Give that a 5 as well, that's brilliant. Actually, let's just... Some of these presets are bloody awful. The portrait. I don't often use the presets, but I do like to do a sense check now and again. Cinematic style. Really? That's cinematic? It's alright. I'll leave that for now. I think there's something there, but it's not a 5-star, that one. So, for anyone who's just joined us, we are very quickly now just going through file management process in Lightroom. So we're defining, we've been through and picked out from 2,200 images. We've picked out 700 and, originally it was 736, I think, 734 images that we're now going to rank between 1 and 5 stars. Now, I actually don't do 1 or 2 stars, because if it's a 1 star, I filter that, I sift that out at the pick, and then what I'm going to do is I'll filter it by 5 star, edit the 5 stars, then filter it by 4 stars, edit the 4 stars, and then see where we're left, and then do a sift through the 3 stars. So you can, this is how you do file management in Lightroom. And if you want to see it, so you can go through all your files, it's 2,200, just under. And you go through and you like the ones you like, you just press P and it'll flag it for you, and then you come down here and you just filter it by flags, and then it takes out all of the ones that are just crap that you're never going to consider using. And then you go through and you press 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 on your keyboard, and it will grade them 5 star, for me being the best. Some people use 1 star as the best, I use 5 star. It's probably the wrong way round, but you can filter from 5 down to 1 I should probably do it the other way around, to be honest, but it's just my process. So I like that. That's a good shot of Kirsten. That's okay. Actually, no, I'm going to give that a 4. I think I could make that into something. That's a 5 because that's discussion with the registrar. So it's a poignant part of the day and the process. That's brilliant. I've given that a 5 because Kirsten's eyes are on show here. So you can do something with that. I had to shoot this at quite a high ISO because it was very dark in this room. And I was stood at a distance, so I'm shooting on the... I think I was on the 70 to 200 here. Yeah, I was on the 70 to 200 because I was stood away. I tend to drop back. So, for those of you who don't know in photography, there's something called the 180 degree rule. I don't know why it's called that. If I'm shooting at 200 mil, then... let me rephrase it. Whatever millimeter you're shooting at, so you'll see here I shot this at 125 mil, that should have actually been at 250. So you double what you're shooting at. So if I was shooting at 24 mil, you'd want it at 48 or 50. Right? And that's because they say that with a lens, if you're shooting at sort of, I don't know, 50 mil lens, you want the shutter speed to be at least 1/100th. Now there are instances where you can go lower than that, lower than double the actual the millimeter that you're shooting at, and that is where you've got a tripod or maybe a monopod and you've got more stability. It's to remove handshake, the slight movement you get from your hands. Even things like pressing the shutter down like that, you can just move the camera a little bit, and at a low shutter speed that will come out as blurred. So whenever you're shooting, if you've got a camera and you're looking through the lens and it tells you you're shooting at 50 mil, make sure your shutter speed is at 1/100th of a second. So you want it double whatever the shutter speed is. These are 5s because these are... I'm not sure she'll thank me for including this, but I didn't get many photographs of this lady. And I particularly like this. I'm going to try and bring this... the flowers with the flowers with the flowers. I think she may not like that she's caught with this facial expression, but I think it's a good photo. Is that better? No, probably not. I mean, her facial expression is better, but I'm not seeing these flowers. Let's put them both in for now. 3. That's a 3. That's almost a nothing photo. I actually quite like that. I'm going to give that a 4 because it tells the story of the first bridal party. Again, a 4 for that. That's a 4 again. I give that a 3, but I think I can do something with it. That's a 3. It's a posed photo. Now I like this. I'm going to give this a 5 because my plan on this is to do this, to try and crop in. This is the bride and daughter arriving. Do something like that maybe on the crop. So I think I can work with that. It's a library, so I'm going to give that a 5. Now these are 5s because it's bride arriving, so these are must-have shots. That I really like. I really want to include that because very often photographers are so busy shooting people they forget to capture the venue. These are all... I'm unhappy about the position of this video camera. It's quite irksome for me that this happened. And I had a conversation with the videographer prior to the event. And I said, look, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. Okay, I'm not going to move outside of this area. He said, fine, I'll stand here. So I knew where he was going to be. And then just before the bridal party came in, he ran up and dropped that camera at the end. So it was always in my shot. So... just going to have a quick play with this. See if how I can crop it. Constrain the... That's alright. I would rather it was a bit wider than that and included more of the flowers, but... So that just looks weird because there's too much. Ah, welcome back, buddy. Can I have some? Oh, okay. Well, I can do something with it. I think these have to be 5 stars anyway because they are the arrival. But these are all going to go 5 stars. That's funny. I'm going to keep that in. Again, video camera's in the way. That was so annoying. I might just leave it in just to make a point. It was such a lovely couple. If you have a super long straw. Yeah. It would have to be really long. I don't like drinking tea through a straw though. These are all 5s. I'm going to end up dropping some of these, but that's a good one. Oh. That camera is so annoying. Oh, bless her. Upset. These are all going in as 5s because this is service, so I tend to 5-star all of them. I found a solution which is scrap the force-based system and do a lot of maths. Sounds like a sort of solution I would enjoy. It's the feet off it. Better. In fact, I'm going to take that one out. These are all 5s. We're going to do a lot of work on these in the edit. It's a great shot. That's a great shot as well. Really good. I'm actually going to 3-star that because it's a 3-star that. 3-star that. These are quite important shots to have of people watching the service. That's got to be a 5. It's got that's not a great shot because look, I think I'm going to 3-star it. And that's a 5. These are all going to take a lot of work. This is... I mean, he would have had the same problem with me being in shot as well, but with video you can edit out. How do you walk in a dress without tripping? In that dress without tripping? I don't wear dresses like that, mate, so I honestly wouldn't know. I want to give this a 5-star, because I'm going to give it a 5 because she's got to be in. And let's just see if we can do something about Matey boy here. Keep that constrained. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Carefully, said with experience. Hey, Waffles. How are you, mate? It's just... I can't edit him out in any way. How are you today, Waffles? You having a good day? I mean, this is ridiculous. You wouldn't ever do this. No. Would the other one be better to edit him out? Well, I like this because it's a full-length shot and you've got the celebrant in the foreground. It's just that he's in that. I might actually just include it, and the other thing we could go for is stick a radial in there. Like this. But even then, we're still going to be over embellishing an inverted radial. Like, it becomes less of an issue if you just fade him out. But it's going to look daft. At the moment, I'm just trying to see if I can make the image work. And then if I can, it looks too aggressive to me. Just posted my haul from shopping. Oh, you're off this week. Catch up movie time. Enjoy. Just posted. Posted, as in what? Posted a picture? Ah. Oh. The Eternals I've seen, Dune I've seen, Ghostbusters, and 2 Expanse books I have behind me there. Caliban's War and Abaddon's Gate. Are they 8 and 9? Look. Books 2 and 3. Nice shopping haul. That'll be a nice relaxing day for you, mate. Dune, if you haven't seen it, is stunning. All I will say, and I'm sure you would do this anyway, knowing as I do, just take some time to appreciate the sheer wonder of the cinematography in Dune. It is breathtaking. It's less like a film and more like a motion work of art. It's incredible. Hello, Mrs. Waz. Boffles is off work. Lucky Boffles. You got a week off. And for those of you who don't know, this is my wife, who won't come on camera. I'm not doing a long stint today. Probably another 2 hours. That takes us to 5. I could do another 2.5, 6 o'clock. I am quite peckish. Whatever we've got, I don't want you to. I'll do dinner. Have you got that sweet potato for anything? Oh, we'll do that tomorrow. Sorry, we're just discussing feeding. Waffle says hello. Pro Programmer says hello. Have we voxed yet? No, but we were talking about it last night. Vox Machina. The Boffles wants to start. I did tell you. I really did. I really did. I've said it twice now. The Boffles wants us to watch it. I told you, it's the guys that did Critical Role.
Oh, is that what it's?
Yeah.
You mentioned.
Yeah. Thank you. That's not my problem. I did tell you that Boffles watch that. It's the guys who did Critical Role. Guys from Critical. I think they do the voices on it. It's an animation, which isn't the thing, but I promised Boffles would watch it, so. Yeah, we're just gonna have an argument on stream now. All right. I'll do dinner. Bye. Hello? Right, well, I think that's the best I'm going to do with that one. But there we go. That's a 5. That's a 5. These are all going to be 5s because they're the service, and it's obviously one of the most important parts of the day. Thank you, mate. It's good to be back. So we are. I want to try and whiz through these quickly because I want to get to the edit because that's where the magic happens, and you'll see how we can turn these around. I love shots like this. I love doing shots like this. It's just my thing, kind of. I just wish Jo hadn't had her eyes closed there, and I didn't notice through the viewfinder. Exchange of the rings. These are all 5s. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed with myself that I had to shoot this at such a high ISO because it's going to make the editing process a lot harder for me. I'm actually going to unflag that one because you don't need 2 of those shots. That's 5. Good shot. That's 5. That is a 5. The exchange of the rings. 5. These are 5 stars, by the way. If you just joined us, we are ranking 5 stars being... So my mental process for weddings is it a photograph I can turn into something good? Is it a memorable, poignant part of the day? Or is it connected to a memorable, poignant part of the day? And can I tell a story? So wedding photography is about telling the story of the day from start to finish. So what I do is I've gone through and I've down selected all the pictures that I definitely want to grade. Now I'm grading the process. We've gone from 2,142 images, we're currently at 726. What I would then do is edit all the 5 stars, then all the 4 stars, then all the 3 stars, until I've got between 300 and 400. And then I'll probably just continue if there's pictures that are too good to miss out. So those are my criteria. One could be just a simple shot, but I think I can make a really good image out of it. It might not be connected to a part of the day. 2 is it's a memorable part of the day, like this, putting the rings on. That's got to be a 5-star because you have to include it. That's not intrusive. I'm going to have to just see if I can do anything with this. I'm going to constrain it. I wanted to keep all the wonderful architecture in here. Might still be able to do. I'm not even sure I can take that out. Where's the healing? I want the healing. There it is. So this is where you've got a piece of a picture that you don't really like and you want to tweak it around a bit. Just do that. Yeah, microphone gone. That was fairly easy. Take this out. It's not going to work. Good morning, Entropy. How are you? Is it morning? Not there, just take it from here. Yeah, we're going to struggle with this. It is indeed. It's art noon here, sir. You know what? I might actually just leave it like that because the intrusion. Oh, that's not too bad. You can barely see that there was a microphone boom. So if you do before and after now. We've taken this out. You can't really tell. It looks less intrusive now. And I could spend a bit more time on this bit, but I don't think anyone's going to notice that. No, it's no good. I wanted to keep these ceilings in the background. 10:13 AM for me. Just finished out my emails for the morning. I was nosing at your Instagram this morning. I'm so jealous of all your fresh veggies. I'm always amazed by that, removing things from frame. It's actually really simple. There is a better way of doing it in Photoshop, but Lightroom gives you a quick and easy. And it's just the clone and heal tools here. So I was working on the heal tool, but you can clone. Basically what you say is I'm going to click there, and I want that. I want to remove these spots from the wall. So you just click and remove, and it intelligently looks for areas that are roughly the same sort of tone and colour. And then... oh, hey presto. They've gone. I mean, that's super easy. Now the heal tool's slightly more invasive. Let's see if we can use an example here. So the heal tool, an example of the heal tool is where you might have a photograph of a dog that's on a lead, and you want the lead out of the picture. So you would, it's called healing by taking out, like that you can take the lead out. I'm trying to find something here, but there's nothing really with your heal tool on. Let me try and find another image. No, let's go back a bit. Nothing there. I mean, let's try and use this as an example. This line here. So if we just open that up and say we want to take this line out. There you go. The line's gone. So it's good for stuff like that. I mean, I'd need to tidy it up because there's still a bit of that line left there. But if you do before and after now, you've got the line there and then the line out. So I mean, actually, I don't mind having that line in. But the other thing that you do this with is, so you use the heal tool on hair. So there's wispy bits of hair. I haven't actually done any editing on this. But let's take, like this hair here, for example. You might say, well, I want to take that out. Use it in Portraiture a lot. Say, right, I just want to remove this hair here. So you just draw a line along that strand of hair. Hit enter. Hair's gone. You could do it with all of this, but it would take forever. If you were doing studio portraiture, for example, you would invest the time in removing stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's Lightroom used to be less. I used to use Lightroom more as a file management system and just adjusting for some tone and luminance, you know, shadows, light, exposure, and that kind of thing. But Adobe have invested so much time in developing Lightroom. Like this texture slider is relatively new. It's probably about 12 months old. And if we were to go, say, to... let's try and find... where's the cake? Cake pictures. You can use it to do two things. You can take texture out, you can put texture in. And find the cake shot. Where's the cakiness? Nice before that. There we go. So this cake was particularly nice because it was textured to look like tree trunks. So if you wanted to bring out the texture of the cake, you could just slide that up, and it literally just, yeah, it just makes it look more rugged. or if you could go the other way and make it smooth. And it's Lightroom is very easy to use once you know how to use it. But like, let's say somebody had taken this picture and it was a bit dark, they might just go, well, bang, I'm going to put the exposure right up really high, oh, and then I want, you know, the shadows up really high, and people can very quickly ruin a photograph by being too heavy-handed with the sliders. And the trick is to do little incremental adjustments in little different areas. So this picture, for example, is give you shadows in these flowers that I probably would want to lose. There's a number of ways I can do that, but Lightroom makes it very easy for me to just push the shadows up. Right, you can see I've pushed that really high and I lose some of the contrast. So if I just push that up a little bit and then I lift the blacks as well, you can see that you're starting to lift some of the shadows out. And then you can pull the highlights down, and then it brings the highlights more in line with the and the whites down. Oh, thank you. Oh, sausage rolls. Wow, awesome. Hot. Okay. Thank you. Oh, look what Mrs. Was just brought me. Sausage rolls, bread, and homemade soup. Courgette soup, homemade. Mrs. Was weighed it at me. You'll have to forgive me. I'm going to eat this. Does she have a sister? She does. Married. About to give birth. Sorry, mate. Yeah, sister's married. Anyway, what I was saying, so you can bring all of these shadows and highlights and whites more in line with each other, and then you just lift the exposure, and then the whole image is lifted. So what you've done is you've lifted these areas. You could also maybe stick a bit of contrast in there. I always put the vibrance up. That's quite a colourful cake, so if you put the vibrance up, you're going to get. So you could desaturate it if you want to. Want to make it vintage? Good. Up. Tone curve to make it vintagey. Down a bit there. It's just, they've moved Lightroom on so far from Photoshop. So editing photos now, I used to do like batch processing in Photoshop. I just don't need to do that now. It's just a wonderful piece of software. Right. I'm begging your forgiveness. I do have to eat on stream. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to go back to ranking process. Five. No, I was very impressed with your garden, buddy. That's the kind of garden I'd love to have. Just like wonderful, colourful veg as well. Fabulous. And some of your barbecuing looked delightful. Really nice. Right. I did a bad edit on this last night, so I'm going to reset it. These are all fives. Five. You made up. That's the lighting in this place for a photographer was pretty awful. White balance was just going all over the place, which means that in the edit you'll see me playing with the colour temperature quite a lot. Try and compensate for it. All service shots get a 5. This is, for a lot of couples, they forget, because they're so nervous about the ceremony. So their video and their photographs are record of what happened that they just can't remember because they were just frantic. Not all couples. Some are pretty relaxed, like that photo. Why did I shoot that at 3.2? What an idiot. That's better. So there's something called a hyperfocal length. A lower number. I'll tell you what. I'll explain to you what I'm talking about if you don't know when I talk about this, the aperture. It sounds fairly simple. The more expensive the lens, the lower you can get that number, generally. And what that does is it opens up, so the aperture could be like that, it might be f18 like that, or it might be f1.8 like that, really wide. What it does is it lets in more light, but equally, the wider you have the aperture, the more the background blurs. Now that is relative to where the subject is and where you're standing. So you have this thing called hyperfocal length. If I shoot at f2.8 and I'm stood right in front of your face, I'm going to get a lot of your face into focus. If I stand further away, say 2 or 3 meters, and I shoot at f2.8 and I zoom in onto your face, let's say I zoom in on your eyes, the tip of your nose might be blurred. But if I then put that f2.8, I wind the aperture and close it in a bit, and I put that at f4 or f5 or f8, and I've stayed in the same position, the tip of your nose may not be blurred then, because I'm closing the aperture down. So generally it's accepted that if you want to get bokeh, which is this background blur here, which I love for the depth of field effect, then you shoot with a sort of wide aperture, which is a lower number. So there you go. So when you see shots and the background's all blurred and it looks pretty cool, you're looking at somebody who's got, like, they put the aperture wide, and they probably got really expensive lenses as well. Now the lowest aperture size I've got on a lens is f1.8. Bizarrely, that lens is one of the cheapest lenses I have, even though it's the lowest aperture. So I have just contradicted myself. But the other factor is the fact that it's not a zoom lens, and the fact that it's not expensive glass that's used in there. When you're looking at lenses, the quality of the glass is like huge impact on the price. Slightly blurred. Oh, good. Gonna keep all of these in. Bloody video camera. Right, back down to... That's a good shot, I like that. I'm gonna give that a 4. That's a 3. That's a 3. That's the mother of one of the brides, so I'm gonna give that a 4. It's a 3, that's a trinket shot. It's a 3, even though it's gonna come out nice when we edit it. That's a 3 again. That's the bride. Now I wouldn't normally give this a 5. I'm gonna give that a 4 actually. It is one of the brides. That's a great shot. You only need one of those. It's the second one. I like that. I like shots like that. I'm going to give that a 5. Yeah, I think I can do it. That's a 5. It was very difficult. There was a lot of movement in the room, a lot of people walking around. I found it very difficult to get the right shot. I'm just very quickly going through and ranking these now so we can start with the edit. That's just a context shot. Could do something with the hair there. Or... It's a nice shot. 5. Do a lot with the eyes in these shots. It's a 4. I don't know who that lady is, but... Any kiss shots are a 5. 5. That's a 4. He sang 4. No, I'm actually going to give that a 3. Actually, no, hang on. I'll give that a 4 because we've got all the dress in it. And I still don't know how you walk in that dress, pro programmer. When do we all get to play your game? I want a flying tank. Four. Oh, it's a 5. That's a 5. I love that. That's a 5. 4. That's a 5 because that's when he was singing. 4. That's a 5. That's 5. I like those. Well, I'll give it a 4. 5. 5. Daughter. 5. That's a 5. I quite like that. It's a good... Oh, that's a 5. That's a 5 as well, because he's belting out the notes. 4. Now, I can't actually remember what was going on here. Bit of a tussle. Good-natured. I'll give it a 5, keep it in, because it's a memory. 4. Actually, no, let's give that a 5. Let's give this one a 5 as well. You can see how we're getting all the 5s now. That's a 4. We've already had one of those, but... That's a 3. Group shot. Nah. That's a 3. It's just quite difficult. I always find the confetti shots difficult. And generally end up filtering out a lot of them. I think that's a good one. 5-star that. That one. Not that one. The good one, because Joe's looking right down the lens of the camera. That one. I love that one. Just a handful of confetti right in the middle of the camera. I mean that. It's a depth of field shot. Right, all of these go in because I'm going to turn these into a pictograph or cinematograph. That woman took her shoes off. She was keen to catch the bouquet. It was actually a guy that caught it. It's a 5. I'm going to keep quite a few of these in. Definite 5. These are all the ones we're going to do quite a bit of work on. I had to keep dragging the train out on the dress as well. I like that shot. I like the fact that Kirsten's kind of looking down, bashful. Not sure I'd use that one, but I'm going to edit them all. That's the one I did last night. I sent it to Joe as well. I'll do some of these in a vintage style, just to... All of these go in. Not sure about this one. I think the dress might be black. Yes. I'll try and work it. I'll put both of those in as well, see if that works. Peace sign. 3, isn't it? Closed group shot. That's a 3, because the videographer got in there as soon as I started clicking. That's a 5, that shot.
I don't know what y'all think, but
5 as well, we can... Got a 4. That's a 5. These are the memories now, I'm giving 5s. So good afternoon, Newt Shoots. How are you, mate? I'm very good, thank you. How are you? Eyes. Oh. We're done there. If you're not already... and you like World of Warships, give Newt Shoots a follow. Another ultra-wide streamer. So if you like ultra-wide streams, give him a follow. And if you want to learn how to play World of Warships, better than me. My pleasure. Us 21-9 guys have got to stick together. Please forgive me. I am actually eating my lunch. And for those of you who just joined us, we're nearly at the end of the file management part of the process of photo editing. What we're doing is going through and ranking the shots. Cake shots are always 5-star. Detail shots always 5-star. They're not 5 stars because they're a wonderful picture, because they're just a picture of a cake. It's 5 stars with customer value and memory. Now I like these kind of shots. I'm going to give them 4 because they're not emotional connections as such. That's a 3. I could not get a picture of them walking in. It's a 5. It's the only one I had of them walk. Everyone just stood in the way, so. Try these sausage rolls. Been isolating. Oh, wow. Have you had the nasty, dreaded COVID? Them's nice sausage rolls. That's a great shot. I think I might take that out. Not sure. Maybe singing. It's a 4. Ended up dancing on the table. That guy fell off. He actually fell off the table. So there's a memory for you. It always pays to remember the events. Oh. This is going to be a pain because of the red eye. Thankfully, we get red eye correction. Yeah, that looks. That's not great, but he's alright. I had a day of feeling poop and that's it. Now I just keep getting 2 lines. I think I had it before it was a thing. So in the December. In the December 2019, just before it became big, I was working over Christmas in the post office, sorting office. And I was off ill. Really bad chest, couldn't breathe, I had to sleep sitting up. And I'm pretty sure it was the COVID. But this whole thing about patient zero in the UK, I swear, plenty of us had it who worked there. There was a lot of people going off ill. These are all. So, I think I've had it, but I'm not. I can't know for sure. Just doing all these as 5s now because these are all special moments. Giving out the presents to the bridesmaids, doing the speeches. They're all sort of must-have inclusions. And actually, we're nearly at the end of this now. So. Like this, I remember right, there were quite a lot of photographs of a lot of her doing the speech. Her dress was covered in spills. I need to have 1 5-star in there. Out of 3. 5. That's a 5. That's a nice one. Actually, I'm going to unflag that one. Take it out. Give the 5-star to that one instead. 4. Straighten that up. That's a 5. But oh yeah, that's a 5. One of the daughters. Good moments, these. Didn't have it that bad. Back to work Friday, so need to be negative by then. Ah, yeah. Do you not like staying in then? I'm quite happy at home, if I'm honest. 5-star that, 5-star that. 5-star that, yeah, because Chosen Tea is there. 5-star that. 5-star that. Actually, no, I'm going to unflag that one. Not sure. Not great. That's alright. That's a good one. This little girl, bless her, wanted to make a speech. Yeah, these are all 5 stars. I mean, this is where you get all your money shots at all these things. Brilliant. Human emotion. Wonderful to photograph. No, this is where Jo wasn't supposed to make a speech and she did as a surprise. Beautiful day, it really was. Right, hang on. That's a 4. That's a 4. That's the 5. That's a great shot. That's a wonderful shot. I would be happy I was left alone, but the kids have been home as well. Ah, I see. Right. Okay, yeah. So did you have to isolate in a separate room from them? It's actually an old monastery in Manchester. And it had been derelict and vandalised, and a lot of the stuff, like the statues and things from the inside of the church, the monastery had been stolen. Garton Monastery, I think it's called. It's in a fairly unassuming part of Manchester, on the outskirts. You have to look hard to know it was there. But some of the decor internally was wonderful, and the shots that we had out the front. Wait, I have nearly finished my lunch now. The shots that we had out the front were because it had been so run down, it was this wonderful juxtaposition between a bride and a dress and a bride in a suit, looking all smart, stood up against this fairly derelict sort of old entrance that isn't used anymore. I'm not sure this one. I'm taking that out. I think that's a 5. That's actually a 4. That's a 5. I don't need all of those. I'll get rid of that one. Actually, let me just check. Do a last check. Same. That was a pointed conversation during the day. I'm not going to say what was going on, but right. Group shots. Didn't really have a choice to be with them. Mrs. still had to work. Ah, they're COVID positives. Alright, okay. Not nice, is it? Right, they're also group shots. These are all 3. Like, look at these. This is the light. This is the auto white balance and the light in the monastery. You see how here they've had to prop up one of the columns. Rubbish. This is going to take a lot of work to get this pink to a manageable level. Group shots. Oh, group shots for me are, like I said earlier, they're just a record of who was there. And one of the things I will never understand. Music wants to play itself. One of the things I'll never understand with weddings. Alright, let me turn this around. Ask a question. If any of you were to look at your wedding photographs who have had decent sort of reportage photography done, how often do you look at the group shots? Oh, that's a 5. 5. 3. Because if I'm looking at my own wedding photos and I wanted group shots there to have everyone together posed, I don't really look at them now. I just kind of flick through them and go, oh yeah, we were all stood there looking at a camera. The girl on the left there, the woman on the left there, she was lovely. She was very kind to me. Sorted me out with a drink and some ice when I was absolutely knackered. Getting to this point of the day, I'd been on my feet for 10 hours. I'm actually going to give that a 5. I think that's quite a funny picture. I'm not on a 5. That's a definite. Lovely. Yeah, that's not a flattering shot for a few people, so I'm taking that out. Never deliver unflattering pictures to a customer. That's backdrop. 3, 3, 3, 3. That's a 5. That's nice. I'm taking that one out. That's a 5. That's a 5. That's a 5. That's a nice shot. That's a definite 5. 4. 4. 4. 3. 3. We're nearly done, by the way, so we can get on with the actual fun stuff, which is the editing. That's the bit that I really enjoy. I actually quite like that. I'm going to give that a 5. I think that's one of the best shots I've taken of the cake. I'm actually going to take that one out. These are must-have shots, the cake shots, so... Slightly out of focus there, I think. I love that. All the kids shouting for cake. Look at them all. Rum, 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 rum. Wouldn't look. He's desperate for a bit of cake. Look at him. It's like, give me that cake. First dance. Oh, such a beautiful day. It really was. A lot of 5 stars going in here. There's still no guarantee that I'll use them all. That's a 3 because you can't see some of Kirsten's face. I think that's got to be a beautiful. That's a 3. That's a 5. That's a wonderful family shot. 3. He was pretty cool, that lad, though, dancing. That's a 4. 4. Actually, I'm going to give that a 5 because that's a cool action shot. Actually, no. Let's give that a 4. That's the 5 because he's looking at the camera. That's a 5. 3. Not quite sure what was going on there. That's 5. 5. Ah, cool dude. 3. I mean, this was the drag act. This is brilliant. I'm gonna 5 that. That's a 3. 3. It's a group shot. 3. 3. She was pretty cool. 3. Actually, no, that's better than a group shot. Let's give it a 4. That's a 3. That's cool. I love that shot. And this one, she came up and she said, "You take me a photo." And I, yeah, okay. She went. I give those 5s. That's a 4 because the hand and the microphone are covering the face. That's a 3. It's a 4 because of the backdrop and the kids. 3. That's pretty good. I'll give that a 5 because you can see the kids dancing. 5. 4. That's a 5. You're gonna make a good shot out of that. It's a 3. That's a 5. Brilliant. There. Ah, Boffles. Enjoy your film, mate. Which one are you watching first? I'm going to see what, having seen, I would probably run with Eternals first, then Dune, and then Ghostbusters tomorrow or later this evening. Because Eternals is good theme park, Marvel stuff, and then Dune just brings you down to artwork. In fact, I want to watch Dune again. I might watch it. Somebody's going to have a wonderful week off, that's for sure. Enjoy, mate. Enjoy. You deserve it. Okay, so now we've done quick recap. We went through the process of loading the images into Lightroom and how we can apply post-production effects at the point of importing them into Lightroom, so we can change anything we want when we import them. And that's quite important to know, because if you're shooting in a studio setting and you know what you want to do to those images when you import them, because the lighting's the same, you've got consistency, you can apply that change across as many photos as you have. And it saves you a lot of time, so you can just do it mass. With weddings, you can't really do that as easily because lighting is different from day to night, from pink to yellow to purple to white. So it's not so easy to do. I used to load them in with the shadows up full and the highlights down, but it's a couple of slides per image. It doesn't. How long does it take me to do that per image? So anyway, so we've done that. Then we went through in the first sift and we pressed P when we looked at every single photo that we thought we would want to include in a second sift. And now we've done the second sift and we've ranked everything from 3 stars to 5 stars. I might change that process. So what we want to do now is look at rated, and we want to rate everything 5 stars. Now, I've actually rated 430 images at 5 stars, which is a lot. So if I then say I want to include the 3-star images as well, we're looking at 705 images to edit. Now that's an untenable amount, but I know, for example, that I have multiple pictures of the same thing, like the cutting of the cake, so I can start to trim out some 30-40% of duplication. But I do that when I get down to the edit, because I like to sort of have a last final sift through and say which is the best light, which is, you know, are they both looking at the lens, what's the backdrop like, can I take the pink out of this, is there less pink in the next image? So that's what we've done. So we've got 5 stars. So there are 430 5-star images. Now I know from doing these that I think I'm just going to go straight into 3-star. Normally I would go 5-star and say, right, let's just work on the 5 stars first. But I know that I've put some in the 3-star bracket, which need to be included. So then I'm treating this as another final sift. So this image, for example, so we're now going to start actually doing the edit. So we are 7 hours into the editing process, and I've done a lot of this. So let's say that 2 hours of that, just talking through what I'm doing. If I was working on this on my own, it probably would have taken 4 or 5 hours to get to this point, whereas it's taken 7 now. But that's mostly because I've been talking and getting sidetracked. So we're probably up to, 5 or 6 hours now, nearly a full working day, just to get the images that we want to edit. And that's the quickest part. So we're now going to see probably 2 full days worth of work to edit all of the images. I don't have to do all of these on stream, but I can. I probably will, because I'm going to be doing it anyway, so I might as well just be on stream and talking to you guys. So we've got about an hour and a half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go AFK quickly and make a cup of tea for me and my lovely wife. I will be back, and I'll be charged with caffeine and ready to start the editing process. This is where, if you don't do bulk file management like we've just done over the last sort of 7 hours, this is the bit that you really want to watch, because this is the bit which is going to show you how to edit pictures. I'll show you my process from start to finish, and I would encourage you to... I'm putting this on YouTube as well, so if you don't already follow me on YouTube and you want to kind of keep this as a record, I may well do a series on how to use your cameras, because I appreciate that I've started at the arse end of this, whereas I should have started at the front end. But it's not as easy to go out and about doing a stream and with a camera and photographing. So I'm going to do, I think, probably some streams which will talk through how to use your cameras, and then plug this back end into the front end, which is the last bit that I'm going to do. So there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube, but if I do it on stream, you can ask questions. So I'll be right back. I'm going to make some tea. is with this tune. Every time I listen to this channel, let's try something else. Let's try a chill. Right. Now we can finally start to edit. Starting with this picture, which is a difficult one. Oh. This was not a shot that should have been done in portrait. That's my mistake, and I might just end up trying to force this into something that it's not. Let's see. Got the rings on this lower line here. This is front and center. You could probably do with moving it that way a bit. Yep. Try that. Here you go. Okay, first things first. And I'm actually going to do this and copy it across. And do that. That's just to take account of the camera that I'm using and the lens. Remove any chromatic aberration is where you get the edge of something. You probably won't see it on this picture, it probably doesn't have any, but no. And you'll get colour bleed into the background. So you might see a very slight rainbow effect. That's the effect of chromatic aberration. Wanted a technical description of what it is. I couldn't tell you. We could Google it. Learn together. Okay. It happens because light rays which pass through the lens focus at different points depending on their wavelength. Well, you get the rainbow effect. So, this. Needs the exposure lifting a bit. That's just the amount of light that comes into the camera. Alright. Now what I always do is push the shadows up and the highlights down. Just to see if I can go. And then bring them back in. Until I'm happy. It gives us a nice bit of balance. Bit of fluff in that box there. I mean, I could do a couple of where's spot removal gone? Just use the clone tool then. And spots out. Use the square brackets to open or close the size of the clone tool. Now you can open it really wide or quite small. It's easier for the computer to interpret what it's looking for on the clone or the heel if you give it a smaller area to focus on. Now, I'm not going to go through and do all of the spots here. That'll be enough. Okay, so I would want to bring the blacks in there. Just bring the don't want to lose any of the contours in the box, any of the colour. I'm probably going to bring the whites down a bit, if I can. Only very slight. And I'm actually going to pull the exposure down a little bit as well, because I've just got a bit OTT there. Now, that actually, in itself, is a decent shot, but because you've got this texture on the boxes, I actually want to take that out, but I don't want to lose the texture on the rings, which is a problem. So I'm going to boost the clarity for now, which is kind of, it does like a micro contrast. And then I'm going to pull some of the texture out, see how that looks. Let's see what it looks like if we put some texture in. Yeah, that's no good. So, right, so that's that. We're going to push the vibrance up because we want it to pop on the screen. I love how you got that pink writing in there that shows as well. And then saturation, you could go one of two ways. If you wanted to go more vintage style, you could pull some of the saturation out like that. That's actually quite a lot. But you could go the other way and put some colour in. Now I'm torn on this one. What I might do is desaturate a bit. And just bring some of the other colours in on the saturation here. Let's bring some of the yellows in from around here. And there. I'm going to pull the colour temperature down as well, actually. Just a bit, just to make it a bit cooler. Yeah. Oh yeah, that works. That's better. Yep. That's good. You could go all the way out there and make it blue, but you wouldn't because it doesn't look very good. So we've gone from that to that already. And I do want to bring a bit of noise out of the image. I think that's colour noise. It's actually not too bad. Just find a spot where you noise there. No, that's actually luminance noise. It shouldn't take a whole bunch of reduction to fix that. Yeah, there we go. See? It's giving it a nice soft colour sheen as well. Now, the rings are the focal point here, but the cushion wasn't in focus on the original shot. I'm just going to try and see what happens if I pull some. Yeah, so there's a bit of colour noise in there. It looks like it's just and I'm going to sharpen this. And then put a mask on it. Which bits we want to sharpen. We don't want to sharpen the textures in the boxes. We want to sharpen the rings. That's quite a hefty mask. So then let's... The rings should be really sharp now. Might have overdone that actually. Just pull it back a bit. Get some of the roping sharp as well. You want the details to come out, but you don't want the textures in the cushion. You could brush it. You could brush this softer, but there you go. So you got the rope, and that's really nice. And then a little bit of vignetting, I think, would work on this. It'd draw the eye into the rings. It's actually not a perfect shot, this. But you know what? That's okay. I don't want to go overboard with this, but I am going to try a radial gradient across here. Feather up a bit. Oh, that's the wrong way. I keep doing that. And then invert as always, and then drag this down. And drag the highlights down, drag the shadows down. That's starting to look a bit weird now, I think. I can pull the textures down and I can pull the sharpness down. That's okay. There. So that's a really... I think that's a nice edit. It's not the best ring shot, but it is one of them. So... Right. So we go before and after. That's before. That's after. Next. Right, that one I'm not going to do. No, I'm not going to do that one. Let's take that out. Right, so we've got filtered and 3-starred now. These I like, but you don't want 3 versions of this. Now that's really good. That's a bit too yellowy for me, which you could fix. You could just drag the colour temp down and... We don't need 3 shots of the rings on a cushion. So I'll take that one out. And then we've got these 2. Now I actually like that one, and I like that one. I'm going to include both. And we don't need a crop on this one, I don't think. No. You can keep them nice in the centre. And let's see. We'll start with the aberration and the lens adjustment. So straight away I can see that it's slightly overexposed at the top. I pull that down a little. This might be a scenario where we actually use a radial filter and use it to brighten an area rather than reduce everything else around it. Now, we need this detail to pop. So let's do the usual, pull the highlights down, put the shadows up, and then bring them in. So we're happy. Just going to push a bit of contrast as well. We're sliding down the shadows now. Let's just make these areas a bit darker. Lifting the highlights. So the highlights and the shadows are everything that's not pure white or pure black. And then I might actually lift shadows a bit more. So don't worry about what's happening around here either, because we can change that with a radial filter. I think I need to bring up the shadows here. The eye's not getting drawn to the rings as much as I would like, so I pull the whites, push the blacks down a bit. Now, rings are texture. I'm going to put some texture in, and that, if you look at the cushion, for example, it makes the cushion pop. So you go from there and then start to put some texture in, it really makes the cushion pop. Now the problem is, you look at that photo, you draw on it, your eye is drawn here and here. Texture, this lattice work. So we need to do something about that. And we're going to bump the clarity and we're going to bump the vibrance a bit. That's too much, it only needs a little bit. And then I'm just going to desaturate it a touch. This still doesn't pop for me. And I'm thinking that I need to do a radial filter now, a very small one. Around here. And I'm going to use this to lift, so I'm not going to invert it. I'm going to lift the shadows a lot, the rings. Right, you see what that's doing now? Pull the highlights down so this reflection on the top here isn't too bright. I might actually pull this in a bit. And then what I'm going to do is increase the feather touch. Yeah, that's good. We want more texture because we want the rings to pop. So remember, we're not inverting this now. This is applying to everything inside the radial filter. I'm going to sharpen it as well. So we're getting to a point now where your eye is starting to be drawn to the rings. So we just do a quick before and after. That's before, that's after. So you can see we're starting to draw the eye into the subject. I don't want to crop in because I like this bit in the background here. I like this sort of off angle. I mean, if you were going to crop in, you could consider like pulling that in. Doing that, maybe. Works. No, I don't think it does. I'm not sure that it does, you know. I like the context of the background. So, it's okay to try these things and just have a look and see if it works for you, and if not, you can change it. We're going back to this radial filter. Yeah. And so we've bumped the exposure up a little. We've pulled the highlights down. I need to pull the whites down as well. Oh, no. And then boost the blacks a bit upwards. That starts to look unnatural, so really unfortunate. I might be tempted to put a gradient filter on this. We've never used a localized saturation either. That's weird. Right. Well, your eye's getting drawn more. Let's get rid of that radial filter. Now, what I'm going to do is... so you're being drawn. I actually quite like that, how it is. My eye's being drawn to the rope now, here. Yeah, the trick is to look away and look back. No, it's going to the rings. And I don't think we need a huge amount of noise reduction. Look at this bit here, which I think is luminance noise reduction. Yeah, it's only very slight. And we can push the sharpening quite high and just stick in the sharpen mask again. Really likes those textures on the cushion, doesn't it? It's still getting drawn. Let's go. I'm going to invert that. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to remove it. I'm just going to try what I would normally do. Because I tend to do this the other way around, so I keep the middle setting where I want it. So this time we're going to use the gradient. Same settings in terms of the radius. Feather. And then we're going to go the other way, so we're going to invert it. And we're going to draw down the light outside of that area. I don't think that works. I prefer it the other way around. That's better. So, have that. Doesn't work as a black and white for me. I'm just not happy with this because of the texture. Can I pull that? Let's pull the texture back then. In fact, let's go the other way. Pull the texture out of it. That's better. Taking my eye back onto the ring. There you go. Now just desaturate that a little bit, and you've got yourself a decent picture, I think. Yeah. 2 done. So what we can do now is we can go to develop settings and copy settings, choose which we want, all of the basics, lens corrections, don't want transform, post crop vignetting, no spot removal, no crop, and then copy. And you can go to this one and you can apply the settings and just see. No, that doesn't work for me. Totally doesn't work. So let's just do this on its own. So the first thing it needs is it does need a crop. A constrained crop, I think. Now, the tendency would be for people to put the rings in the middle, but because they're offset on the cushion, you want to use the intersection of the rule of thirds, which we spoke about last night. So you're looking to get these rings on an intersection, either on there. See how that works, actually. Nope, no good. They need to come lower down. So, what about just giving them and get the cushion central? I don't like this bed sheet in the background. That's better. That's better. Right, so we're going to do the old 1-2. And I'm going to take some of the colour temperature out of that. I don't like this yellow light. Let's take some of the yellow out as well and the saturation. There. So you can see already we've taken the oranges and the yellows out of that from the lights in the room, giving it a better white balance. Maybe some of the orange, just a touch. Yeah, just a touch. Right, so again, now the rings aren't perfectly in focus here, which is irksome. Blame the photographer, which I do. I'm wondering whether we could stand to just pull the exposure down a bit. No, I'm not sure that's going to work. So let's do highlights down, shadows up, and then bring them in. So we've got a decent balance, I would say, is about there. Yeah, and then I'm going to take the whites down and bring the blacks in a bit more as well. Get them some depth in the contrast. Push the contrast up a little bit. There. I'm actually reconsidering that crop now. Might do this. Never had to fiddle around with the crop so much in my life. Alright. Okay, so we'll go to the texture. I'm going to pull that down, take some of the texture out of the cushion. It's a nice cushion, but we want the focus on the ring still. Clarity up. And dehaze down. Oh, sorry. Haze out. I like me vibrance, and I've already pulled some of the yellow saturation out, so just take a bit more out there. And then the noise on here, it's actually not too bad. It's a bit there, so we use that. It looks like it's luminance noise, I think, so don't sharpen. I sharpen after I've done the noise. I kind of yeah, that's worked. And we go back to do the sharpening here. Then put a mask on and just... Right, that sharpen is pretty much where we want it to be. Now, I am going to vignette. Again, I tend to vignette everything. And I am then going to do yet another radial gradient. You'll get used to these, don't worry. I'm a lot. And I'm just going to try and get some of the the rows on the cushion into that. And then we're going to invert and drag everything down. Right, now we're drawing the eye. That's better. I'm actually going to pull the highlights down, pull the shadows down. Now this might look a bit too dark for you. Hey, Vignette is boss. Hi, Coglitch. I started using it for a live stream. It looks so much more cinematic. Vignette can be dangerous if you don't know how to use it sensitively, because you end up with people who do this. Which is a big no-no. How you doing, Coglitch? What's the temperature like there? So I'm gonna, don't worry, this looks like it's going darker, and it is, but there's a plan, don't worry. So we're going to take some of the dehaze out. I'm going to touch the saturation. I'm going to pull some of the sharpness out as well, because remember, this is doing everything outside of the because we've inverted it, we're editing everything outside of that radial filter now, as opposed to applying everything. If we were to flick the toggle off, see, it would do everything inside like that, which just looks daft. So we're doing everything outside. Now that above zero again, very melty and icy. Awesome. How's a day of ice chipping sideways? God. Hours a day of ice chipping sideways. So yeah, so that looks a bit extreme, and probably is. I might have overdone that a little bit on the exposure. So move that up a touch. Because we're then going to switch that off, and then we're going to lift the whole photo, the whole image. It's too much. Bring some of the shadows in, bring some more of the blacks in. There. So that's the before, that's the after. And what we're looking for in every image is we want the viewer. Good Spelung. We want the viewer's eye to be on what we want it to be on. So you look at that image and you instantly go to the rings. Now I think I might have overdone that. It's something not quite right about it. I might have overdone this radial. Let's have another. Yeah, it was the exposure. You tend to have to be very sensitive with tweaking exposure over shadows and highlights. Shadows and highlights are where you'll get most of the effect from. Probably bring that in a little bit as well, to be honest. So, no snow. No snow for you. No snow for you. And I always do this test, even though I don't think it's going to work. I always test to see if black and white would work. Probably could. But I'm not going to do it on this instance. So that's another one ticked. We are getting through it slowly. Right, this interaction. What do we want? Those eyes are going to the phone. Those eyes are going to the phone. Those eyes are going to the phone. So we want these as the main focus. We can do some adjustments to the main image first. I didn't do that. Right, we've got the chromatic aberration and the profile corrections on for the lens. And right, so here's the challenge you've got with this image. You've got that, which actually isn't horizontal, really. There you go. And that's now made that corner of the room. The other thing you could do is you could do in Lightroom. It has a really, really cool trick where you can go to transform here, and you can just click on auto. Where's auto? There. Think, and it'll do everything for you. How's that? Done. Save me fiddling around. So that just brings all the perspective. Doesn't take you because the curve, because of the lens. This bit. Yeah, where's it gone? This bit does your colour and chromatic aberration. Are you doing additional white balancing on the last one? When you say white balancing, do you mean changing the color temperature on it, because I have done, yes. So if you look up here, that's what it is at now, 3579. And it was actually shot at 3950. So I've cooled it a bit. So that's the only way you can really affect white balance. You can also do a dropper. So you can take the dropper and say, well, what's the whitest part of this image? It's there. Click on that, and that's what the automatic white balance does for you in Lightroom. I never use it. Using curves along... No. I don't use the... so the only time I would use the S-curve here, because the S-curve creates a really weird vintage effect. So the only time I would use the S-curve is I would pull that down, push that up if I wanted to make it all vintagey, and then just lift the tail if I wanted to desaturate it a bit. But I don't use this to do the colour correction. Sorry, the white balance at all. I don't do these. I mean, if I wanted to make this all vintagey, I could. You know, you could just play with the S curve there, drag that right up and make it all washed out, and then you'd probably lift the exposure a bit. You do black and white or whatever. You know, there's loads you can do. I only ever really use the S curve if there's a scenario where I think an image looks like it would benefit from having that vintage look and feel to it. I tend to not touch this because Lightroom is so good with these sliders. This just becomes a nice to have rather than a must have. Whereas if I was when I used to edit and batch process stuff in Photoshop, I would apply an S curve to everything and then batch process using an action. So I'd have an action that would just open an image, apply it, and then close it, and then open another one, apply it, and close, save it, and close it. So Lightroom's quicker, and Lightroom is better when you want to do large numbers of photos in a short space of time. So what I've done is so the last two streams, I've taken 2,200 images and I've batch processed them down to this shortlist, which is now 692. You can see there it says 692 of 2,142 photos because I've filtered them and graded them. No, it's fine, mate. No, ask away. Ask away. No, the more questions, the better, because other people might be thinking it. And so we do the before and after as well. So that's the before, and that's the after. I'm still not entirely happy with it. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. But I don't really want to obsess over it anymore. It feels like I need to lift this a bit. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's better. Also, what I will tend to do, CodeGlitch, as well, is I won't fiddle with the color temperature too much, but what I will do is, you'll see down here, I will saturate or desaturate colors as I see fit. So I've taken a bit of orange out of this. I could take more if I liked. In fact, that actually works. Oh, awesome. Red. I don't want to take any red out. So, and you can see here they've got this purple cast, so I could potentially sort of bleed some of that out. But then if you do too much, it starts to look weird. And take some of the magenta out as well. But we do before and after now. That's better. Yeah, it's I think I just needed to lift the image a bit. I want to take that out. I don't know. That's better. The problem I've got is with the cushion as well. The eye's drawn to the textures, so I've had to take the texture out of the cushion as much as I can. But anyway. So this one needs lifting in entirety. First thing we do, we've done the chromatic aberration. Oh, I'll tell you what we haven't done on this one. Did I do the noise reduction? Yeah, I did. So the next one is, this is quite dark obviously, so this needs lifting. This is quite light because this is the light coming in from the window and hitting the faces on the side here. So there's a number of different ways we can tackle this. First thing we do is pull the highlights down, push the shadows up and see what it gives us. You've got the colour of the grey wall now in there, but it's going to introduce a bit of noise here. and that's colour noise. So where's the so no, it's not colour noise, it's luminance. So it is actual proper noise. So I'm actually shooting at a slightly higher ISO in this image as well. Not as high as when we get into the hall later in the day. So I'm just going to push that a bit further than I would normally to make a point. Okay, now I'm going to pull the shadows down. I'm going to lift the highlights. Try and get to a point where it's a happy medium. Now the shadows we want, because the face here is quite dark, we want to be able to lift that. But if we push the shadows too far, it's not going to work. So I'm going to push the blacks up. Pull the whites down. And it's slightly yellowy because of the bag and the light that's in the room. So it's actually a 7000 Kelvin colour temp. So I'm just going to pull some of the orange out of that with the colour temp. And I will probably take some of the yellow and orange out from this bag, because it features too much. It looks like it's too prominent in the image. So already we're looking at, we've got to change the, and what I am going to do, and I'm going to try it to see if it will work, is use a linear gradient across here, just to that guy's ear. No, it looks silly. So we'll have to do it another way. So I have a plan. Let's get rid of that. I have a plan, and it's a good old radial filter again. So this is the interaction, these three heads here. This is irrelevant almost. This is just foreground hills. So we're going to drag this out, and we're going to turn it. Want that to feather, or the other way. Pull that in a bit now. There. This is the interaction. This is the primary part of the image. This is the bit that we want to cover. So we could lift that if we wanted to, but this is still quite bright. So I'm going to invert it again. I tend to do this a lot. Before I do that, actually, I'm going to lift the exposure on the image. There. So I've actually gone up nearly a full stop on there to bring that up. Now we go back to the radial filter. This one, and we are now going to invert it, and we're now going to pull the exposure down for everything but that middle area. Now that feather's too hard, so I need to bring that feather in a bit. Just push that a bit so it's not as harsh, and then maybe just stretch that out like that. That's better. It's worked better, I think. And then just let's start with the highlights and the shadows. Bring those down. Shadows down. That's better. Bring the black point in. Not too much. You still want some of the detail in the foreground. Whites down. And I might just drag some of the exposure down a little bit. It's hard to tell on the screen whether it's too much. But what we want, there you go. So you can see what we've done now is we've, without impacting the image too much with fake light and dark, your eyes are drawn to this whole interaction with the phone. So you're now considering what's going on here. What are they looking at? That's the story. Going back to what we were saying about the image should tell a story. So you go from this, where it doesn't really tell you much. You can see what's going on, but now you're drawn into it. I do still want to... I might try a vignette before I do. Doing it. Now, I'm going to sharpen. I'm going to over sharpen it. I want it to be nice and crisp, and then I'm going to mask. I'm going to bring in the masking just for like the hands and the contours of the face. So we're only now sharpening those defined lines. I think I need to bring some contrast back in. It's not working. What is it that's bugging me about this? I can push some of the textures. I'm going to push the clarity. Ah, that's it. It's the clarity. That's what was bugging me. And then I'm going to dehaze a little bit. Push the vibrance. Now, I think I need to desaturate this a bit. And I might try just desaturating the yellows. Because you've got fairly prominent yellows and oranges in the picture. And noise reduction's too high. Something not right. There's something bugging me about this. Might be the colour temperature. Let me try and drag that down a bit. Yeah, it was that. The whites still aren't popping for me though, so I'm actually going to go the other way with the whites here and try and push them a bit. No, because that's not making this blue now. Cool. So having said that you don't need to make extreme settings, I'm actually going and making extreme settings. I'm actually going to do some brushing now, which I don't normally do, but I think this would warrant it. So I'm going to create a new mask and I want to brush. And I'm going to brush entire face here. And I'm going to lift some of the shadows on the face a bit. Not too much. And I'm going to pull some of the whites down. And I'm going to push the textures. Which I wouldn't normally do on a face, but it's the hair here I'm trying to capture. Let me just... Yeah, so that's the hair. And then I'm actually going to add the blacks in to get the frames of the glasses more prominent. Dehaze, have we got D? Yeah, we've got dehaze. I can... No, that's not going to work. I need to do that just on the glasses. To take some of this reflection out. Like having a... Can you desaturate the bag but not the girl's shirt? Yeah, I can. I can paint in there and desaturate it. The room that I took this photograph in, it had like 3 or 4 different bulbs in that all had different colour temperatures, so the camera on the auto white balance was just completely thrown. No, you can do that in here. So I could do this, so I could create another brush and I could just reduce the feather reduce the feather a bit, and I could say paint here. Just desaturate that. Take it out like that. Then you've got this bizarre contrast. I tend to not do localized desaturation. But I see what you mean. See, that's the natural, that's how the white balance dealt with the different lamps in the room. Let me go back to this mask. So I don't touch the exposure. I might just pump the contrast a little bit. And I'm actually going to undo what I've just done. I'm going to drop the texture. I'm going to pull the texture out of it. Soften the features. Push the clarity. Okay. And a little bit of sharpness. I'd normally do this on the eyes if the eyes were looking. And again, I'm going to do the same thing here. Create a new mask. Again, it's the brush and just brush around his face a bit there. And then we want to push the sharpness and push the shadows a little bit on there. Drag the highlights down a bit. Whites. And then push the texture because of his hair. I think the orange on orange might be what's bugging you. It is, it's this. Sainsbury's bag, which is a supermarket in the UK. I'm going to push the clarity. I am actually I'm actually overdoing the edits at the moment just to make a point and show people. And I would probably have done this a lot quicker. That is, if I was just working on my own, I would just be flying through this, I think, a bit more. Don't touch that. Might actually change your mind and push the highlights a bit. There we go. Now, here's something interesting to note. I think this would work as a black and white also. I just brush that. She's going to need some sharpening. Quite a bit of sharpening. She's also going to need the shadows lifting a bit more. She's going to need colour temperature bringing up, I think. That brings her more in line with the bag and the jacket. I don't want to risk exposure. No, that's a bit more contrast. And there. Right, so having done all of that, now I'm going to try this in the black and white. And I think that's the best way to deal with the orange. It's funny how a lot of people who've been watching the streams and seen me tweaking the editing, they're all kind of going, yeah, I can see what's bugging you there was. So it's good, it's kind of confirmation for me that there's something not quite right. What's good is hopefully people are getting an idea of what editing entails. I need to put black back into it. I need to put some shadow. Put some contrast out. Right, so here's an interesting thing. Here's where I may consider adding in a bit of an S-curve. Certainly lifting that tail there. Bringing that down very slightly and pushing that a bit. I think that works better as a black and white. I really do. Yeah, definitely. Let's stay in black and white. Alright, cool. This I was never sure about doing as a picture. What about just adding a tiny bit of blur on the bag? No, that'll look weird. That would look weird. I very rarely make localized adjustments like that. Very rarely, because they tend to, in printed, when you print it, it looks weird. So when they get the prints back or the wedding album, they'll go, that's weird. Now everybody knows what a Sainsbury's bag looks like in the UK. But localized, if I was to just brush this and blur it or desaturate it, when you print it, it's going to look a bit weird. I think this just works as a black and white. I mean, the main thing is we've got this, your eyes drawn to this interaction as opposed to that's as it was shot. That works. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. So you've just got like a flat grey. Bland. I'm not sure about whether to include this. It's a nothing shot. Let me try something quickly. I'll tell you what. Do this. The thing with photo editing is there are lots of fancy and clever gadgets and gizmos that can do an awful lot of stuff. And 9 times out of 10, it'll be the subtle changes that make the difference, rather than the big, clever, fancy. Like we had a conversation last night where we were talking about taking somebody's head out of another photo and sticking it in another, and I was like, well, you can do it. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. One of my pet hates is the wedding photograph where you get in black and white and then one item is in colour. Hate that. That's so gimmicky. It's just, oh. I want classical quality images. I don't think this is going to work. I wanted the image to stand on its own, not like do a lot of tweaking and fancy stuff to go, look, there's a great photo, when actually it's a mediocre photo which has had a gimmick applied to it to make it look good. What am I doing? I thought that was sharpness. Where's the sharpness gone? That down, pull the textures down. What I'm doing now is I'm desaturating. I'm doing everything outside of this. So everything in the red is what's being edited now. I might put a gradient filter from there to there as well, but we'll see in a minute. The colour temp on this is just horrible. Right, so if we've done that, and then let's edit the photo. Yeah, we don't want textures. We want to take some of the texture out and make the skin look good. Push the clarity. And I'm going to put some vibrance in there as well, just to make it pop a bit. And now I'm just going to try sticking a linear filter in the from here. A bit, just a bit. It really needs lifting some more. The whole image needs lifting. I might do a brush on this. Just brush all the hair. Get that textured, because the hair is what's the feature in this photograph. So, stick the texture right up there. Do you know what? I'll brush that wrong. Let's brush just the hair. Because I don't want to touch the face, I just want to brush the hair. Sort that out. Give that like some real pop. Alright, so that's the mask of the hair. We've just touched the face a little bit, unfortunately, but and I am going to increase the saturation because she's got lovely blonde hair here, so let's just make some of that colour stick out a bit more. I still need to pull the colour temp down on the whole image, and I'm going to sharpen it a lot. So we want the hair to be the feature. She's having the hair done, so let's make the hair the feature. Put some textures in there as well. There you go. So you're starting to see, and a bit of contrast. Oh, and clarity then. There you go. So the hair is starting to become the feature of the image. Exposure I wouldn't normally touch, which is the right thing to do. So put the shadows up. No, that's not going to work either. And what else for the hair? Make it pink. Where's that? Maybe not. Push the highlights, maybe. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, there. That's alright though, because you can always add it in. Where was it? There. There you go. It also shows I got the size wrong for down here, but I'm kind of, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of what we're doing. And there's too much saturation. I could do with an individual. Like localized I like this workflow that you can add it after the fact. Mate, Lightroom is if you're just editing a simple picture and you're not doing things like liquify and changing the shape and layer masks and all of that stuff, Lightroom's the way to go every time. It's simple, and you know what I'm like. I like simple. It has to be simple for me. And push some yellow into this. Let's get rid of that. Okay. It's just not working somehow for me. Yeah, so I mean, if you're good with Lightroom, Lightroom's the. But if you're good with Photoshop and you know the workflow in Photoshop, but for the bits that you can't do in Lightroom, if you just right-click on the image at the bottom, and you can go to Edit in, and then Edit in Photoshop, and you can open up Photoshop. So you can then open it. Okay, it's not using the right plugin. So you can just go. You can jump straight into Photoshop, make your changes, close Photoshop, and it will save those changes back in Lightroom. So this is your bulk fast workflow window, and then if you need to drop into Photoshop to like do a liquify or do something like move things around in the image. I think I have messed things up with this. So I'm gonna. I haven't. So that's what it was. I needed to pull some of the colour out. That's staying as it is. Now this one's black and white, but I think I wanted this one, didn't I? Yeah. So that one's going to go because this is the bride and this head is blocking the bride. You can't see what's going on, but if I flip one forward, he's moved. He might be blurred, but this is the interaction that we're looking to capture. So these eyes, not hers, but these. Same thing again. So that is going to get unflagged and dropped. This one we do with the crop, I think. Drop in like that, and then bring this interaction into the middle. I'll do an auto transform on this first. Auto transform it. There we go. The color temps in these images are horrible. They're just horrible. This room was awful for the white balance. It really was. I mean, look, you've got pink lights over here, and orange lights over there, and another orange light over there, and then a white light. I don't think I've ever worked in a room which had so many different light bulbs with different color temps on them. Okie dokie. And I did originally say this was going to be a black and white as well. I'll edit it as a black and white. Let's see. Some texture in. I don't like this big negative space here with the wall. I'm going to do a radial filter around this. Get the basics right first. Not going to do any dehaze on that, it doesn't right. And sharpen it. I always put quite a lot of sharpen on and then mask it out. So I'm sharpening the bits that I want to sharpen. I'll leave the vignette for now. Whether that's it, you know. No, it's not. A gradient, linear gradient first. I'm just going to stick that there. Your eye could get drawn to this, lads, here. The blurred bit. I'm going to draw the eye away. Do everything to get rid of that. Trying to draw the eye to this bit. This is context. How the hell is that in focus? Yeah, code glitch. If you normally use Photoshop, I'd recommend you having a stab at Lightroom. It's so much easier, and I'm more than happy to help if you got any questions. But it sounds like you know what you're doing anyway. So, but it's this is like Lightroom really comes into its own. If you want to do a quick edit. So here's my separation in my head, right? Lightroom is if I've got a photograph like this and I just need to change color temperature, color balance, highlights, shadows, chromatic aberration, lens profile correction, boost the textures, do an S-curve, all of that stuff, contrast, and you can also, you won't see it now, but you can flick between let me just go back to color quickly. You can actually flick between your color adjustment on multiple levels, so you can do hue, saturation and luminance, because you can drag the luminance of a particular color down as well. So you can desaturate, you can change the hue of the color. So you can, like an orange, you can make more orange or more yellowy. Right. Well, Lightroom will make making great pictures easier, if that makes sense. It's also good if you've gone out and you've shot off hundreds of images and you think, I don't know how I'm going to sort this. Lightroom's really, really good. Like I said, the last 2 streams that I've done, I've been through how to sort images. And we have a Wacom tablet that I'm not using at the moment. I'm using my mouse, and I tend to use my mouse more, but sometimes if I do a lot of editing, I get twitchy. And I bought Sam a Wacom Cintiq for Christmas, which it's a monitor, but it's a Wacom monitor with a pen. And I'm thinking about getting myself one of those if I do end up doing a lot more of the editing work again. It needs to come out more. But these sorts of adjustments are super easy. And it makes, for particularly for weddings, you'll very rarely see me drop out into anything else from Lightroom. It's very rare that I've shot a picture so badly that I need to do significant amounts of work to change it beyond, like, just trying this, by the way. Necessarily gonna. For weddings, for example, you don't get paid a lot of money in the weddings industry in the UK anymore. It's not a high-paying profession. So, if you were to say to somebody, I'll shoot your wedding photo, you get this a lot, and they'll jokingly say to you, can you take these chins out? Can you get rid of my tattoo? Can you make me look slimmer? And my answer is always, yes, I can. But it takes a long time to do, and it would cost a fortune. And you never would have hired me if I'd have charged you based on doing all of that, because it would have been over 10 grand or maybe 15. So, there's a big lack of understanding in the majority of customers in the wedding industry. And it's through no fault of their own. I mean, I didn't understand photography until I got into it, but and do you know what? I don't think I need to use a radial on this now. I think that works on its own. 2 linear gradients. I actually think that works really well. But I am going to try and bring some of that noise out. Better. Another one done. Well, I got 2 copies of the same image. That's a nothing image again. Got one of those, so that can go. This I like, this I want to keep in. This is good. You can just see her going. I've done a fair amount of editing and had some basic tutorial stuff in Photoshop. I understand enough to make things decent, but not necessarily great. Well, if you do a lot of photography, and by a lot of photography I mean if you take pictures at least once a month, Lightroom and Photoshop together are £9 a month, $8.99, $9.99. What's that, $15? I don't know in Canadian dollars what the difference might be, a bit more, but it's not much money for the functionality that you get. As soon as you say you want to get Premiere Pro, then it goes up to 20 quid, so it double the price just to get video editing. But for this, You can't get a package just for Lightroom on its own, as far as I'm aware, but maybe you can. But Lightroom and Photoshop is nine quid a month, and I would be hard pushed to find another piece of editing software that gives me the functionality that both of those do put together for the same money. You've got Lightroom already. No? What are you waiting for? There we go. Right. This I want to keep in colour. I want to lift the light a bit. So, soon the usual, start with the highlights and shadows. Might desaturate, drop the colour temperature a bit on that. It's better. What time is it? Ooh, I need to go in 10 minutes. So we'll make this the last picture. I don't know if I'll be back on tomorrow doing photo editing, because I'm doing my game stream tomorrow night, but we'll see. I might do some in the day because I've got to crack on and get this job done. So I like to bring the blacks down there. This is the difficult thing, because you don't want to lose the detail on the t-shirt here. I'm gonna pop the clarity. And I do think I need to just take some of the yellow out. Is it the orange? Take some of the orange out. Oh, no. Doing the hue there, not the saturation. Boost the yellows, maybe. Let's leave it as it is then. Let's keep the colour in and try one like that. And sharpen lots and mask lots. Find noise. Ooh, that's colour noise, I think. Oh, maybe it's not. See, I don't like what that's done to the faces. Gonna wind that back a bit and just accept a bit of the noise, and then push the clarity a bit more, and the sharpening a bit more. Okie dokie. That's all the basics. I think this would benefit from a vignette as well. Very slight. And then we are going to radial this one, because this is a straightforward. That's a difficult one. Yeah, that's better. Yay! Let me have a go at this. You know what we say to that? Rigged. Okie dokie. Let's try and bring the art up. We're going to invert it. I always do this. I would be really tempted to do that as a black and white, you know, but I've got to leave some colour in here at some point. This is just an awful room because of the lights. It's going to take me desaturate it. I'm going to take some more orange out. Yellow, reds. Temp down again. Right. I think that's good enough. Before, after. That same bloody bag, yeah. I'm taking this one out because we've got 2 of those shots now. We don't need any more of this interaction. These are the ones that I dread. These are the ones in front of the window, and I think I want to include this one because you can see that she's laughing in the foreground. Yeah, and kind of flattens it. I'm having a mental block. I can't remember how to do this now, how I would normally do it. I wouldn't brush the face. I would use a radial. But a radial's going to look too strong against the bright window. Push the shadows up for sure. Pull the highlights down. Bit better. You don't want to go too high with the shadows though, because I'm shooting it. Oh, it's only 1250 ISO. That's going a bit OTT. Try the colour temp down a bit. There we go. And maybe a bit more exposure. Yeah, that bag got a lot in a lot of places. I'm just going to pull some texture out. It's kinder to the skin. Push some clarity. Get that mini contrast. Slight dehaze. Very slight. And then just push a bit of actual contrast as well. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I always shoot raw. Never shoot anything but raw. Never. Never, 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 never. It's just pointless. Otherwise, I might as well just take my phone. Just right click. Put some lenses on my phone. I don't think this needs vibrance. Which is unusual for me. And I do need to desaturate. I don't want to desaturate that whole picture. I don't want to drop the colour temperature in that whole picture. I need to drop the colour temp. I need to do a gradient filter here. That's just too orange. Again, you can see the orange light and the effect that that's had. So can I desaturate that? And colour temp. Yeah, I can. So I can take some of the colour temp out of that through the... Actually changing that. Those effects to right, so Color detail is great for recovering a photo like this. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's you couldn't do this if you weren't shooting raw, without question. You couldn't do a wedding, really. You couldn't do a wedding unless you had complete control of the lighting. There's no way you could shoot a wedding and not shoot raw. It would just be an absolute disaster. But yeah, you need that colour information, without question. Better? Always check black and white. No. Doesn't work in black and white for me. I might brush the face on this actually. Let's do the noise on it first. It's surprising me how much noise reduction I'm having to do for only shooting at a fairly low ISO by modern standards. So I've just put some noise reduction in it because the ISO is at 1250 on 125th of a second, which is just slightly slow for the shutter speed that I should have, shooting at 70mm. I don't think there's any more I need to do to that, to be honest. I am tempted, actually, just to push the tail on this a bit. That's before, that's after. I wonder, just a thought, I wonder if I take some of that blue out of the window, will that change anything? I might be in danger of overworking this now. I've just tried to bring the facial, lighten the face a bit in the context of the overall image. Seem to be having more problems than usual balancing out the light and the dark, but this was a very bright day. There was a lot of light coming through that window. That's okay. That works. I think I could afford to push some black into that. Yeah. Alright, so what we can do is, because we know now that so you can make it nice and easy, you can take this shot and you can right click, say develop settings, paste from previous. You can choose what settings you want to paste. I'm going to do a full copy and paste as I want the transform. I want the masking as well. Not mask 2, just mask 1. Develop settings, paste. On the auto transform, for this, there's a pinky hue crept into this, and I think we can crop some of this out like that, and then we can just auto transform it again and see. Work. Okay, there. And then this was coming off the telly, this pink light. It was such a pain to deal with. And the perfectionist in me was irked by it. So this one that's got to come down a lot more. Lot more. Huh. And again, need to take some of the color temp, a lot of the color temp out of this. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to desaturate the oranges. No, actually a vignette just works really well there. Yeah, a vignette works really well. That's awesome. That saves me a bit of work. Let's get back to the main image. Let's put the whites and the highlights down even more. Can't push them any lower. So the colours are bugging me. Oops, I do not want to do. I'm thinking about this arm here, it's orange, so I'm thinking if I change the hue in the orange and make it more yellow, maybe? No, that doesn't work. So maybe the luminance in the yellow. The orange. I don't think that works either. I think I'm going to have to go for the saturation again, which is a pain. Take the orange out. Take some of the red out because the cheeks are quite red. And some of the purple. Then it works well as a black and white, but I've got to keep some colour in here. Where's my brush? I want this, and I want brush. I want to change that feather a bit. Just the face, not the head. And take the colour temp down in the face a little bit. Take some of that. That just doesn't. She might need to go the other way. Nope. Oh well. I want to push the shadows a bit in the face. And I actually want to boost the highlights as well. Just bring that. Take the whites out. They are. Bring the blacks in a bit. Now, ideally, if I was closer, I could have done the eye. I could have pulled it. Actually, I might try and do the eyes as well. Let's do the clarity and the sharpness. Saturate. That's better. That's better. Do you know what? The lighting in this room is just horrible. So if I get rid of that and take the black in, I can actually afford to put more of the shadows in as well. This arm's bugging me. It kind of pulls your eye this way. So let's do something about it. I hate that I have to go to this extent, but it's just the way the room was. Not sure if I've overdone. Take the highlights right down. Let's see how that works. Okay, we'll do the eyes. Let's zoom in on. It's worth a go. We are zoomed in at 200% now. So, boost the shadows. You want to bring out the colour in the eyes by boosting the you want to boost the highlights a bit as well. Bring out the white a bit more. You want to saturate a bit more because it'll bring out the colour in the eye. And the thing you don't do with the eyes is boost the white too much, because that's what happens. It just looks scary and a bit weird. So I tend to stick with just the highlights, the shadows, and a bit of saturation. So there. So you see how the eyes pop now? Like, you can see that, you can feel the look. So we've gone from this to that. Now that would actually work as a black and white as well, I think. But I don't want to be the guy that's copping out all the time because the colour's too hard to deal with. So it's better. That's it. That is today's editing stream done. It's been 3.5 hours, shorter than normal, but I hope it's helped. And if anyone wants to know anything about using Lightroom, feel free to ping me on Discord. And if you're not on Discord, feel free to ping me. Very learningful. Feel free to ping me on any of my social media. You can also find me on my professional photography Instagram. this one. That one. Where I do more photography stuff. I haven't posted in a while, but I will be doing more in the near future. So I'm glad it was learningful, Code Glitch. I'm very glad about that. You will find that your photography becomes more accessible if you use Lightroom because it's quick and it's easy. It's very manageable. There's tons of guides out there. You can always ask me. And and you are true to form as ever, sir, and losing all your wazzles. So there we go. We've got a long way to go yet. Still, we've edited 9 pictures and we have potentially 688. Probably not. By the time we get to the end of this process, it's going to be around about 400. You probably won't have time, Code Glitch, but the stream that I did last night will take you through the steps of how to load, basically how to save time and how to apply and edit even just when you import the images, which you'll know because you could do that in Photoshop as well. But anyway, everyone, thanks. I'm enjoying having company when I work. It's nice. I'm enjoying sharing what I do for a living with everybody. And I'm enjoying editing because I always do. And there you go. Thank you very much. I'm going to go and make Mrs. Woz some dinner. So I will say goodbye. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Or why man, fella man. And I will leave a bit of music, a little bit of lottery, and I will be back tomorrow. Either tomorrow night and or tomorrow day for some more photo ed. I wish you all a pleasant evening. I'll see you very soon. Bye.